Have you ever wondered why someone suddenly starts missing you when you pull back? One minute you're there, available, and they're treating you like an option, like you don't really matter. Then, the moment you give them space, boom, they start craving your attention. Why is that? What's the secret to flipping the script and making someone realize what they lost? Here's the hard truth. It's not about being petty or playing games. It's about mastering yourself, embracing distance, and letting them experience life without you. In today's video, I'm giving you 7 brutally honest reasons why pulling away will make them come running back. And we're using Stoic wisdom to break it all down. Get ready, because this is going to change the way you look at relationships, and more importantly, how you see yourself. All right, let's dive right into it. Before we start, you need to understand something powerful. This video isn't just about them, it's about you. You have more control over your relationships than you think. It's not just about waiting for someone to come crawling back to you after you distance yourself. It's about taking control of your life, owning your decisions, and understanding your worth. You're not just stepping back to get their attention. You're stepping back to grow, to evolve, to give yourself the respect and time that you deserve. Now, I know some of you watching might be feeling frustrated, like you've given too much for too long. Maybe you've always been the one reaching out, always putting in the effort, always being the one to make things right. But let me hit you with this. Every time you chase someone who doesn't appreciate you, you lose a piece of yourself. That stops today. By the end of this video, you're not just going to understand why giving them space works. You're going to know exactly how to do it in a way that leaves you feeling stronger, more confident, and more powerful than ever. Here's the thing about Stoicism. It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending you don't care. It's about realizing that you can't control how someone else feels or reacts. You can't control whether they see your value right away, but you can control how much of your energy you give to someone who doesn't. And when you pull back, when you focus that energy on yourself instead of them, something amazing happens. They start to realize what they're missing, because you're showing them through your actions that you don't need their validation to feel whole. So, are you ready to step into your power? Let's get into the 7 reasons why they're going to come running back once you give them distance. Reason 1. The shock of your growth. You know why people get so comfortable in relationships, friendships, or even family dynamics? It's because they think they've got you all figured out. They think you'll always be the same, always available, always there to cater to their needs. And that's exactly why, when you step back, when you take that time to work on yourself, it completely throws them off. It's like the rug gets pulled out from under them, and they have no idea what's going on. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine this. For months or even years, you've been the dependable one. You're the person who always checks in, who always makes the plans, who's always there when they need something. Then one day you stop. You stop texting, you stop calling, and instead of chasing them, you're chasing your goals. You're out there hitting the gym, leveling up your career, spending time with people who value you. What do you think happens next? They freak out. They didn't see it coming. They thought they knew you, but now you're someone they don't recognize. Here's the secret. People fear change, especially when that change comes up. When that change comes from someone they underestimated. When you grow without them, it makes them question everything. They start to think, wait a minute, did I misjudge them? Did I miss something? And that shock is like a wake-up call they weren't ready for. They start to wonder what else they got wrong about you, and that curiosity makes them crave your attention even more. But let's not sugarcoat this. You're not growing for them. You're doing it for yourself, and that's the biggest twist. People often make the mistake of thinking personal growth is about proving others wrong. It's not. It's about becoming the best version of you for you. The more you focus on your goals, your ambitions, and your personal growth, the more your transformation will speak for itself. And here's what happens next. They start watching. It's human nature. People who didn't value you start lurking, curious about what's changed. They see your glow up and realize they missed out. But by then it's too late. You're already thriving. Choose one area of your life to focus on and dive into it full force. Whether it's your fitness, career, or personal hobbies, make that your priority. Don't do it to prove anything to them. Do it because you deserve to live your best life. And trust me, when they see how much you've grown, they won't be able to ignore you. But by then you'll be so focused on your growth, their reaction won't even matter. Let's talk about self-sufficiency for a moment, because this is one of the most overlooked yet powerful traits you can develop. People don't often realize just how magnetic being self-sufficient really is. In a world where so many rely on others for validation, attention, and approval, standing on your own 2 feet sets you apart in a massive way. Most people are constantly looking for someone to tell them they're enough, that they matter. But when you're someone who doesn't need that, who's thriving on their own terms, it makes people stop and take notice. You become a force of nature, someone who doesn't need anyone's approval to feel complete. Now, self-sufficiency isn't about shutting people out or pretending you don't care. It's about knowing your worth and not needing someone else to validate it. When you reach a point where your happiness, your confidence, and your success don't rely on anyone else, you become incredibly powerful. And here's the thing, people are drawn to that. They're drawn to the kind of person who knows who they are and doesn't need to constantly seek external approval. Why? Because it's rare. In a world full of people trying to fit in, being comfortable standing alone makes you stand out. When you're self-sufficient, you radiate a quiet confidence that can't be faked. It's not loud or boastful. It's an inner strength that speaks volumes. You're not chasing anyone for attention. You're not begging for validation, and you're certainly not waiting for someone to tell you you're worthy. And guess what? That's the moment people start craving your attention. When they realize that you don't need them to feel good about yourself, they start to wonder why. They start to question, how are they so okay without me? Why don't they need my approval anymore? And that's when the dynamic shifts. They go from feeling in control to feeling like they're missing out on something they didn't even realize they needed. Here's the truth. People want what they can't have, and when you stop giving them the attention they took for granted, you become that thing they can't have. It's almost like a switch flips in their head. Suddenly, the person who was always there, always checking in, always making them feel important, isn't around anymore. And instead of you needing them, they start to feel like they need you. It's not about manipulation. It's about creating a healthy boundary where your happiness isn't tied to anyone but yourself. And when they see that, it makes them want to be a part of your world even more. Think about this. When you were always available, always reaching out, you were giving away your power. You were telling them, I need you to feel good about myself. I need you to validate my worth. But when you stop doing that, when you show them through your actions that you don't need their validation to be happy, everything changes. You're no longer chasing them. You're chasing your own growth, your own goals, and your own happiness. And that shift is magnetic. It draws people in because, let's face it, everyone wants to be around someone who is confident in who they are. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you become self-sufficient, you're no longer emotionally dependent on someone else. You're not clinging to their every word, waiting for them to make you feel worthy. You're creating your own sense of worth through your actions, through your achievements, through your ability to thrive without needing anyone's constant approval. And that's a game changer. It's like the moment you stop needing them, they start needing you. Why? Because they see that you're happy, fulfilled, and moving forward without them. And that scares them. It makes them realize they've been taking you for granted. And now they're on the outside looking in, wondering how you're doing it all without them. Self-sufficiency also teaches you how to protect your emotional energy. When you're no longer relying on someone to make you feel good, you can be more selective about who you let into your life. You can set boundaries without guilt because you're not afraid of losing someone who doesn't respect you. And when you start setting those boundaries, you gain even more respect, not just from others, but from yourself. You stop giving people easy access to you because you understand your own value. And when you stop being so available, people start to value your presence more. Think about it. When someone is always available, always there, people tend to take that for granted. It becomes expected. But when you pull back, when you take that availability away, it forces people to reevaluate how much they appreciate you. They start to realize just how much of your energy they were getting, and now that it's gone, they crave it. They want to be a part of your life again, not because they want to control you, but because they realize you're someone who knows how to thrive on your own. And that's attractive in the truest sense of the word. And here's something most people don't understand. Self-sufficiency is not about isolation. It's about strength. It's about knowing that while you enjoy being around people, you don't need them to define your worth. You can walk into a room alone and still feel just as confident as if you were surrounded by a crowd. That kind of self-assuredness is rare, and it's something that draws people in without you even trying. Start small. Take yourself out to do something you love, whether it's a solo dinner, a hike, or spending a day doing something just for you. Learn to enjoy your own company and appreciate the time you have with yourself. The more comfortable you become in your own skin, the less you'll feel the need to seek external validation. And here's the bonus. When they see how well you're doing on your own, they'll be drawn to that energy. They'll start craving to be a part of your life because you're no longer relying on anyone to feel whole. When you can create your own happiness, confidence, and fulfillment without needing someone else, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And when they see you thriving, they'll realize just how magnetic self-sufficiency really is. Reason 3, the envy of your newfound confidence. Confidence is one of those things that makes people stop in their tracks, especially when they didn't see it coming from you. When someone is used to seeing you unsure of yourself, always second-guessing your worth, and constantly seeking their approval, your newfound confidence is like a bolt of lightning. It disrupts the entire dynamic. It shifts the power in the relationship, and it leaves them wondering, where did this confidence come from, and how did I not see this before? Imagine this. For the longest time, you've been the person who hesitates, who questions themselves before making a decision, who asks for their opinion on every little thing. You've been looking to them for validation, letting their opinion shape how you see yourself. But then something changes. You step back, you focus on yourself, and you start building a stronger version of you. You work on your self-esteem, and you start trusting your own judgment more than theirs. Slowly but surely, your confidence starts to grow. And here's the thing about confidence. It's contagious, but not in the way you might think. It spreads, yes, but not always because people want to see you succeed. Often, when someone who took you for granted sees you stepping into your confidence, they feel uncomfortable. Why? Because your growth shines a light on their own insecurities. It makes them question themselves. It makes them wonder why they didn't see this in you before, and more importantly, why they don't have it within themselves. That's where the envy comes in. It's not always the toxic kind of envy, but it's envy nonetheless. They wish they had the level of confidence you're now showing. They wish they had the ability to walk into a room, head held high, knowing exactly who they are and what they stand for. They see you doing it, and it messes with their perception of you. You're no longer the person who relied on them for validation. You're no longer the person who asked for their opinion before making a move. You've become someone who knows their worth, and that kind of confidence is magnetic. It draws people in, but at the same time, it pushes them to reflect on why they didn't recognize this side of you earlier. Let me break this down a little more. When someone gets used to being in a position of power over you, whether it's in a relationship, friendship, or even a work environment, they get comfortable with the idea that you look up to them. They like the fact that you seek their approval because it makes them feel more secure in their own position. But when you stop needing that approval, when you start making decisions without their input, it shakes things up. They no longer feel like they have the upper hand, and that imbalance creates discomfort. That's where the shift in dynamics happens. Your confidence now demands respect. It commands attention in a way that being unsure or seeking approval never did. People are forced to see you differently. They can no longer treat you like someone who's waiting for their validation, because you're clearly not. And that changes how they approach you. It changes how they view you, and in some cases, it makes them realize just how much they underestimated you. But here's the beautiful part. Your confidence is not just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. You're no longer relying on external approval to feel good. You know who you are, and you're not afraid to show it. You're not afraid to take up space, to speak your mind, and to stand firm in your decisions. And that kind of self-assuredness, it makes people want to be around you. They want to be a part of that energy because confidence is attractive in every sense of the word. Here's something most people don't realize. Confidence doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be about being the most outspoken person in the room. True confidence is quiet. It's an inner knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. It's the ability to walk into a situation fully aware of your value without needing anyone to validate it. And that kind of confidence is incredibly powerful. It shifts the way people treat you, but more importantly, it shifts the way you treat yourself. Confidence isn't about being perfect. In fact, part of being confident is being okay with your imperfections. It's about trusting yourself enough to know that you're worthy, flaws and all. It's about knowing that you don't have to be everything to everyone because you're enough just as you are. And when you start showing up with that kind of confidence, it changes everything. You're no longer seeking approval because you've given it to yourself. So how does this make someone crave your attention? It's simple. People are drawn to those who are sure of themselves, because confidence is something we all aspire to. When they see you standing tall, owning your space, and making decisions without needing their input, it sparks something in them. They start to wonder, how did they get so confident, and why didn't I see it before? That curiosity turns into attraction, and that attraction turns into a craving for your presence. Here's where it gets even more interesting. When you exude confidence, it forces people to take responsibility for their own insecurities. They can't project their doubts onto you anymore because you're not accepting them. You're not playing into the dynamic where you need them to tell you who you are. Instead, you're showing them who you are. And that makes them want to be part of your world because your self-assuredness creates a sense of stability, and people crave stability. Start practicing confidence in small ways. It could be as simple as saying no to things you don't want to do without feeling guilty. Or it could be speaking up for yourself in situations where you'd normally stay quiet. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and the more you'll start to see the dynamic shift in your relationships. Confidence doesn't mean being the loudest in the room. It means knowing you belong there, even if you're the quietest. When you start owning your worth, when you stop relying on anyone else to define it for you, you'll notice a profound shift. People who once took you for granted will start craving the version of you they never saw coming, the confident, self-assured, empowered version of you. And that version of you, it's unstoppable. Reason 4. The intrigue of unpredictability. Unpredictability is one of the most underrated forms of power in any relationship. People often don't realize just how magnetic being unpredictable can be. When someone can predict your every move, they stop paying attention. They get comfortable. They assume they know exactly what you're going to do, and as a result, they stop putting in effort. They stop thinking about you as much, because in their minds, they've already figured you out. But when you become unpredictable, when you stop being so easy to read, it forces people to sit up and take notice. Suddenly they don't know what to expect from you, and that creates intrigue. Let me break this down a little more. Imagine you've been in a situation where you were always available, always texting first, always initiating plans. The other person got used to it. They knew exactly when you'd call, what you'd say, and how you'd respond. That predictability, while comforting at first, eventually becomes boring. There's no excitement, no mystery. They know they don't have to work for your attention because you're always there, ready and waiting. But then something changes. You stop being so available. You stop doing the same things they've come to expect from you. Maybe you don't reply to their texts as quickly as you used to. Maybe you're not always the first to make plans anymore. You're busy living your life, and you're not making them the center of your world. What do you think happens next? They start wondering what's going on. They start questioning why you're not acting the way you used to. And that curiosity, it's powerful. It makes them think about you more because they're trying to figure out what's different. Here's the truth. People are naturally drawn to mystery. We're wired to want to solve puzzles, to figure things out. And when you become unpredictable, you turn yourself into a puzzle they can't easily solve. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're doing, or why you've changed. And that makes you infinitely more interesting. They start paying closer attention to you because now there's a sense of uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds intrigue. Think about it. When someone can predict your every move, there's no challenge. But when you become less predictable, when you start doing things they didn't see coming, it forces them to reevaluate how they see you. They start to wonder what's going on in your life. Why haven't you texted back yet? Why aren't you always available anymore? Are you seeing someone else? Are you just too busy with your own life to care as much as you used to? These questions make them think about you more and more. And that's when the dynamic shifts. They're no longer taking you for granted because now they don't feel so secure in knowing what's happening with you. But here's the key. Unpredictability doesn't mean playing games. It's not about deliberately withholding affection or attention to manipulate someone. It's about genuinely living your life in a way that puts your own needs and goals first. You're not being unpredictable for the sake of it. You're doing it because you're focused on your growth, your happiness, and your path. When you stop being predictable, it's a natural consequence of prioritizing yourself over someone who isn't giving you the same energy. Here's where it gets even more powerful. Unpredictability creates a sense of value. When you're always available, when you're always doing what someone expects, it becomes easy for them to take you for granted. They start to feel like your time and attention are just always there, waiting for them. But when you pull back, when you create a little distance, it forces them to realize that your time and attention are not guaranteed. They start to see you as someone whose presence is valuable, and they don't want to lose that. Think about it like this. If you've always been the person to initiate contact, the person who makes the plans, they start to expect it. But the moment you stop doing that, they start to notice, they realize that they can't take your effort for granted anymore because now you're not making it so easy for them. You've created a situation where they have to step up if they want to be in your life. And that shift from them being comfortable to them feeling uncertain is where the power of unpredictability lies. People are naturally more invested in things they can't easily obtain. If you're always available, always predictable, they don't feel the need to work for your attention. But when you become less predictable, when you start putting yourself first and stop catering to their expectations, they feel the need to invest more. They start wondering what they need to do to get your attention again. And that's when they start craving it. Here's something to remember. Unpredictability doesn't mean being flaky or unreliable. It's not about ghosting someone or disappearing for days. It's about creating a healthy balance where you're no longer making someone else the center of your universe. You're still there, you're still present, but you're no longer as predictable as you used to be. You're living your life, focusing on your goals, and not bending over backward to fit into someone else's schedule. Start by breaking one routine. If you've always been the one to text first, stop. If you've always been available at a certain time, get busy doing something else. Make your time valuable again by not always being so predictable. Let them wonder what's going on and let them feel the absence of your constant availability. The intrigue that comes from being less predictable will naturally make them think about you more. The beauty of unpredictability lies in its ability to shift the balance. When they can't predict your every move, when they don't know what to expect from you, they start to crave your presence in ways they never did before. They begin to realize that you're not someone they can easily figure out, and that makes you infinitely more attractive. Reason 5. The realization of what they've lost. Here's one of the toughest truths in life. People often don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. It's not that they never cared about you, it's that they got comfortable. They took for granted the fact that you were always there, always showing up, always giving your time and energy to them. But when you step back and give them distance, when you're no longer that constant presence in their life, it forces them to face a reality they hadn't considered before. You were bringing a lot more to the table than they realized, and now it's gone. At first, they might not even notice. They might think, oh, they're just busy, they'll be back. They might even assume that things will just go back to normal because they're so used to the dynamic where you're always the one making the effort. But over time, something shifts. They start to feel the absence of all the little things you brought into their life. The conversations, the emotional support, the fun moments, the comfort of knowing that you were always there for them. And that's when it hits them. They've lost something valuable. Here's the thing. People often underestimate the impact you have on their life until they no longer have access to it. When you were there every day, checking in, making plans, showing up for them, they got used to it. They stopped seeing it as something special and started seeing it as something guaranteed. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop being the one who's always available, they're forced to confront the fact that they've been taking you for granted. And trust me, that realization can be a real wake-up call for them. It's in the absence of your presence that they begin to fully understand what they had, the emotional support you gave them, the time and energy you invested, the joy you brought into their life. It all becomes crystal clear when you're no longer there to provide it. They start replaying memories in their head, thinking about the good times, the laughs, the deep conversations, and with each memory, they start to feel the weight of what they've lost. They begin to realize just how much you added to their life, and that realization can be both shocking and painful for them. Think about it. When someone is always there for you, it's easy to overlook their value. You get used to it. But when they're suddenly not there, when that constant presence is gone, it creates a void. And that void is where the realization starts to sink in. They start thinking about how much you contributed to their happiness, how much you made their life better, and how much they took all of that for granted. That's when the regret sets in. They regret not appreciating you more when they had the chance, and they start craving the connection they've now lost. Here's a powerful insight. When someone realizes what they've lost, it often comes with a deep sense of emotional discomfort. They start questioning themselves, wondering how they could have missed something so important. They begin to see all the ways they failed to appreciate you, all the times they didn't recognize your efforts, and it makes them feel like they let something precious slip through their fingers. That kind of regret doesn't just disappear. It lingers, making them think about you more and more. But here's the key. You didn't do anything wrong by pulling back. In fact, By stepping back and giving them distance, you allowed them to see your true value. You gave them the space to reflect on everything you brought into their life. And now that they're feeling the loss, they're likely realizing that they made a huge mistake by not valuing you when they had the chance. That sense of loss can be incredibly powerful, and it often drives people to try and reconnect with you in ways they never did before. However, it's important to remember that you're not stepping back to manipulate anyone into missing you. This isn't about playing games. It's about recognizing your own value and not settling for a relationship or dynamic where you're not being appreciated. By giving them space, you're giving them the opportunity to reflect on their actions and to realize on their own what they've lost. You're showing them that your presence in their life is a privilege, not a given. Think of it this way: your time, energy, and love are valuable. When you're giving them to someone who doesn't fully appreciate them, you're essentially allowing them to take you for granted. But when you pull back, when you reclaim that time and energy for yourself, you're making a powerful statement about your worth. You're saying, I know what I bring to the table, and if you can't see that, then you don't deserve to have it. And that kind of self-respect is incredibly attractive. It's often only after someone experiences your absence that they fully understand just how much you meant to them. They start comparing their life now, without you, to how it was when you were around. And that comparison is what makes them realize how much better their life was with you in it. They start to crave that sense of connection, that emotional support, that fun, that comfort you brought. But here's the thing: they can't just snap their fingers and get it back. They have to earn their place in your life again. Don't rush back in. When you pull back and give someone space to realize your worth, let them sit with that feeling. Let them truly experience what life is like without you. If they come back, they'll do so with a new appreciation for what you brought into their life. But if they don't, that's okay too, because you've already taken the steps to honor your own value and focus on your own growth. The realization of what they've lost is a powerful motivator. It forces them to confront the truth about how much you meant to them, and it often leads them to want to reconnect with you. But remember, this isn't about them, it's about you. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less than being truly appreciated. By stepping back, you give them the chance to see your value, and when they finally realize what they've lost, they'll either step up or step out. Either way, you win. Reason 6. The desire to be part of your new journey. When you take a step back and focus on yourself, an incredible transformation happens. You start evolving, growing, and embracing new opportunities. Maybe you're picking up new hobbies, leveling up your career, spending more time with people who truly value you, or working on your personal development. Whatever it is, the shift is obvious, not just to you, but to everyone around you. And guess what? People notice, especially the ones who once took you for granted. Here's the thing: growth is magnetic. When people see you leveling up, moving forward, and thriving without them, it sparks something in them. They start to feel like they're missing out on this new, exciting version of you. They see you exploring new paths, embracing new challenges, and they want to be part of that journey. They don't want to feel like they're left behind, watching from the sidelines as you step into your power and start living a life that's truly fulfilling. Think about it. When you were always available, always putting them first, they felt comfortable. They didn't have to put in much effort because they knew you'd always be there. But now that you've taken a step back and started focusing on yourself, the dynamic has changed. You're no longer the same person who was waiting around for their attention. You've grown into someone who's living their own life, setting their own goals, and making things happen on their own terms. And that shift, it makes them want to come back because they realize you're on a journey of growth and they don't want to miss out. Here's what most people don't understand. Personal growth is incredibly attractive. When you're actively working on becoming a better version of yourself, Whether that's through your career, health, relationships, or personal development, it creates a certain energy around you. You're radiating progress, self-confidence, and ambition, and that energy draws people in. The person who once took you for granted now sees this new side of you and realizes that your life is moving forward with or without them. They start to feel a sense of urgency to be part of your journey because they recognize that you're on a path to something bigger and better. But here's where it gets even more powerful. They know they can't just walk back into your life as if nothing has changed. They can't expect to come back into your world without putting in effort. Why? Because you've grown. You've set new standards for yourself, and they know that if they want to be part of this new version of you, they'll have to step up. They'll have to show that they're willing to grow alongside you because you're no longer interested in the old dynamics where you were doing all the work. When someone sees you thriving, it makes them reflect on their own life. They start to wonder, what am I doing? How did I miss this side of them? Why aren't I growing like that? It's a wake-up call. They see you making moves and they start to feel like they've fallen behind. And that feeling creates a desire within them to be part of your journey. They don't want to miss out on the exciting things happening in your life. And they definitely don't want someone else to come along and appreciate the new, evolved version of you before they do. This isn't about making someone feel left out. It's about you living your life authentically and fully. You're not waiting for anyone to catch up to you. You're moving forward with or without them. And that's exactly what makes them want to come back. They don't want to miss out on this new chapter of your life. They want to be there, standing by your side as you continue to grow. But here's the catch. They know they have to earn their place. They have to prove that they're capable of supporting this new, empowered version of you, or risk being left behind. Here's another truth. When you start living for yourself and focusing on your own journey, the people who aren't meant to be part of it will naturally fall away. And that's a good thing. You don't want to carry people who can't support your growth, who aren't willing to evolve with you. But the right people, the ones who truly care about you and see your value, they'll rise to the occasion. They'll want to be part of your new journey, not because they want to hold you back, but because they see how amazing your future is and want to be there to support you every step of the way. Focus on your own growth. Not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone, but because you deserve to live a life that excites and fulfills you. Whether that's starting a new hobby, pursuing a passion project, or simply becoming the best version of yourself, make your journey about you. The right people will be naturally drawn to your energy, and the ones who took you for granted will realize what they're missing out on. When you start focusing on your own journey, you're not only improving your life, but you're also showing people that your time and energy are valuable. You're demonstrating that you're not going to wait around for anyone, and that if they want to be part of your life, they'll need to step up. This kind of self-assuredness and growth is incredibly attractive, and it makes people want to come back, not just to be around you, but to be part of the exciting, evolving version of your life that you're creating. Reason 7. The fear of losing you to someone else. Fear is one of the most powerful motivators in human psychology, and when someone realizes that they might lose you to someone else, that fear hits them hard. They start to see that your absence is creating space for someone new to come into your life, and the thought of you being with someone else, someone who recognizes your value the way they didn't, is enough to drive them to act. This fear creates a sense of urgency and desperation that they can't ignore. Think about it. When someone sees you thriving without them, their initial reaction might be to shrug it off. They might think they'll be back, or they're just going through a phase. But as time goes on, they realize something much more serious is happening. You're not just pulling away, you're evolving, growing, and becoming a stronger, more confident version of yourself. And it starts to dawn on them. someone else is going to notice what they missed. Someone else is going to see the incredible person you've become, and they might not get another chance. Here's the thing. People don't like to admit it, but the idea of being replaced is terrifying, especially when they see you becoming happier, more self-assured, and more independent. They start thinking, what if someone else comes along and sees all the things I took for granted? What if they treat them better than I did? That's when the fear really sets in. They start imagining scenarios where you're with someone new, someone who appreciates your worth from the start, and that thought alone can make them panic. When this fear of losing you kicks in, it often sparks a wave of regret. They regret not treating you better, not valuing your presence when they had the chance, and now they fear they've lost you for good. That fear doesn't just disappear, it lingers, making them think about you more intensely. They start comparing themselves to this imaginary someone else who could step into your life and give you everything they didn't. And trust me, that comparison eats at them. But here's the key. This fear is about more than just jealousy. It's about realizing that they no longer have the security of knowing you're always there. They can't take your presence for granted anymore because they know there's a real possibility that someone else will step in and take their place. And that's a powerful motivator for them to take action. They don't want to lose the chance to be in your life, but they also realize that the dynamic has shifted. You're no longer waiting for them. You're moving forward, and if they want to be a part of your future, they need to step up before it's too late. Here's what's interesting. This fear doesn't just motivate them to come back. It forces them to reassess their own behavior. They start asking themselves, why didn't I appreciate them more? Why did I take them for granted? What can I do differently to make sure I don't lose them again? This reflection often leads to genuine change, because they know that if they don't fix what went wrong the first time, they might not get another chance. And that's where the fear of losing you becomes a catalyst for real growth. But remember, this isn't about manipulation. You're not pulling away to make someone jealous or to make them afraid of losing you. You're pulling away because you're focusing on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. The fact that they're now afraid of losing you is a natural consequence of them realizing your value. They took you for granted, and now they're seeing what they stand to lose. Keep thriving. Don't let the fear of someone else's reaction dictate your path. Focus on continuing to grow, build your life, and surround yourself with people who appreciate you from the start. If someone fears losing you, it's because they now see what they should have valued all along. But that doesn't mean you should stop moving forward for their sake. The fear of losing you to someone else is a powerful motivator, but it's not the goal. Your growth is about you, not them. If they want to step up, they need to do it on your terms, not out of fear, but out of a genuine desire to be part of your journey. And if they don't, well, you're already moving forward, and someone who sees your value from the beginning will be ready to walk that path with you. Here's the bottom line. Distance isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your power, your self-worth, and your time. Stoicism teaches us that the only thing we can control is ourselves. And when you step back from someone who isn't appreciating you, you're taking control of your life. You're showing them and yourself that your value doesn't depend on anyone else's recognition. And trust me, when they see you growing, thriving, and becoming the best version of yourself, they won't be able to stay away. But here's the most important part. You don't need them to come back. You've already won by focusing on your growth. So whether they come back or not, you're stronger, smarter, and more empowered than ever before. If this video spoke to you, drop a comment below and tell me about your journey. Are you giving someone distance right now? Have you had someone come back after they realized your worth? I want to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Thanks for watching.